When we were building the present chapel for Big Calvary, Pastor Chuck was there late at night installing urinals. He was in the ditches digging for pipes, swinging a hammer all day, and preaching at night to thousands in the tent. Today, when Pastor Chuck stops by the conference center, he's right in there helping with whatever repair project is in progress. You can find him laying carpet, under a truck dropping a transmission, in the attic studying water pipes, playing volleyball with high school kids, or staying up late surrounded by Bible college students answering questions. Pastor Chuck loves God's people, and he never ceases to serve them. Well, he has now, but nothing is beneath him. He wants nothing for himself, but the best for God's children. Be like that.
Wow. That's quite the, that's quite the thing.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yep. I don't know. You said inseminate cattle, and I got distracted. Sorry.
I knew I'd lose you at that point. But no, and a lot of people don't think about these things. But it's stuff like the importance of ushers, and just that greeting people at the door. How important that is. We're taking the time to fill people in on how things work around here. So it's, because we have that where we encourage people to put their kids in the children's ministry because they're going to get ministered better to there than they will with the adults. And we're going to deal with adult topics in the adult service. So, it's good on both ends. It's better, but if that's not explained, if those things aren't communicated, if you don't work through that with people, then it sets a bad example and it throws people off. And having dealt with setup and tear down and having done ushers and any number of other things, you learn to look around and you look for trash on the floor, or you check the bathrooms to see if they're dirty or whatever, because everything will distract people from God, especially inseminating cattle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Before coming to Minnesota, I don't know, 25 years ago, I had a buddy who worked for 21st Century Genetics in Shawnee, Wisconsin. I helped put up some of their barns, big, huge, half a mile long pole barns full of bulls. And they all they do is raise Black Angus bulls, and some of these bulls are like 3,000 pounds. And I've seen little bitty women, like a 5'2" weighing nothing, leading these bulls around by a ring in their nose and a leash. But I got to watch, he took me for a tour, and I got to watch not the insemination of cattle, but the collection of the material used to inseminate cattle.
How did I know this conversation was going to go there? I should never have said anything.
You haven't lived until you've seen that, and YouTube carries videos on that, process.
We'll be cutting that part out. Okay.
Aw.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I've seen Bernie's editing. It won't come out.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
I'll forget. If we, it'll... Yeah, well.
You know how seldom the opportunity to mention that comes up in conversation?
No, right. No, it's not something that doesn't come up very often.
No, not at all.
Thank the Lord for that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we've lost the whole reason for be creative, look for more ways to help. But you can, apply this everywhere in life. If you're at your job, nothing should be beneath you. Mm-hmm. Just do what needs to be done in your marriage.
But much to my detriment, what's the word, detriment now?
Yeah.
Probably when I was in the consulting world and traveling around different cities doing computer projects and stuff, my biggest ministry was actually the smoke lounge, because invariably you'd end up talking to the same group of people all the time, depending on what city you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversations would always I'd steer them toward creation, because at the time I was studying all that Dr. Hovind material about that's the creation evangelism seminar. And I don't know how much fruit came from that, but I know a couple of people who that stuck with and who are now saved and talking about creation to other people, even here 20 years later, which just blows my mind, because I never thought of smoking as a ministry, but in places it was, because otherwise there would have been no reason for me to be talking to these particular people. The only thing we shared initially was the fact that we smoked.
Right. Yep.
Rabbit trailing just a little bit there. Actually, one of the strange things that happens here in America anyway is a lot of people who do smoke are treated like outcasts amongst a lot of churches.
They are now, yeah.
And so that willingness to talk to them, because usually they're more casual people, they're willing to stick around, they're more likely to actually have a conversation with you, but they're a somewhat neglected part of the community often enough. So and there may be other things, other parts of the world, but I know that's one of the things I run into. I'm a pipe smoker, and I get all kinds of weird reactions out of people. And when I was a cigarette smoker, I had some of the nastiest responses from Christians. Like, you go, okay, that's really a great way to show that you love people.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that's one of those things.
Don't be like that.
One of those things where you can go, hey, there's an option here, and that's that creativity. You look for people and wherever they're at, and whatever you can do to help them out and come alongside of them, and then that gives you the opening to minister to them in more spiritual ways. But so much of ministry really is the little stuff. And I like in the New Testament when they were having issues, the whoever they were, the people were complaining that the food wasn't being distributed evenly.
Oh yeah.
And they went, we need somebody to handle this, and the apostles are going, we have other things to do, so let's appoint some people. And they went, all right, what are the standards? And they established the standards for deacons, and they set up a number of them. But it was, they had to be men of the word, they had to be men of prayer, they had to be like, the qualifications to wait tables were pretty impressive. They needed to be spiritually sound to do a task that seemingly has nothing to do with it.
Right.
But that's just ministry.
Then again, that's a task that touched the people closely.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the point. That's exactly it. So yeah, it's not focusing on the task. It's just how it ministers, and that's its significance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Who's
All right,
up?
that'd be me, I guess.
All right.
Back to the top again. Keeping God's love. You can never do anything that would convince God to stop loving you, but you can, through disobedience and sin, put yourself in a place where His love does not reach you. Beware of sin. With Satan's help, we are capable of committing every vile sin that man has ever invented. Guard your heart and mind. Be careful that you are only looking at, reading, and hearing that which pleases the Lord.
Ooh, that hearing part, we didn't do very well on that today, did we? All right, go ahead.
Now, God desires to bless you abundantly and cause your ministry to bear an abundance of fruit. Let Him bless you. Live a pure and godly life so that He can fill you and use you for His glory. Stay broken, humble, and obedient to the Lord so that His presence might overwhelm and bless you abundantly. Be willing to go anywhere and do anything for Jesus. Keep yourself in a place where He can use you. Billy Graham once said that the 3 areas of primary vulnerability. I lost it.
I don't know what you were going for.
I was trying to do a Billy Graham.
I don't know what you think you had.
That was Gilligan, right?
Gilligan.
No, that was my Billy
Skipper.
Graham. 3 areas of primary vulnerability for ministers are women, money, and pride. Don't set yourself up for a fall. Don't be alone with any woman other than your wife. Stay away from the movies and materials of a sexually graphic nature. Don't rent questionable videos. Have an account system or accounting system that is foolproof at your church. Keep accountable. Stay in submission to another. Stay broken and humble before the Lord. Guard your heart with all diligence and deeply repent of sin if you stumble. There you go. Here's the nuts and bolts.
You don't see that very often today, that whole last part. I mean,
oh, yeah.
The
pastors don't have a...
Well, I mean, not even pastors, just people. They're, the lines of morality have, well, what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. You know, I mean, that's just what we live in today.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, well, I mean...
About the only safe video now to watch anymore is black and white TV in the 50s.
Right. Sesame Street's not even safe anymore.
Some of the old black and white stuff was surprisingly dirty.
Yeah, there is some stuff that I got.
Unfortunately, they only hinted to it, though.
I watched back through the Dick Van Dyke Show a while back, and that was way racier than I thought than I ever thought it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've done the same thing, thinking, oh, this is some safe TV, and then I'll be like, oh my goodness.
Right. No, the Hulu is carrying MASH from the very first episode to the last one, and I started watching it again. And I was like, these guys are perverts, man.
Yeah,
I didn't remember them being as bad as they were. I mean, they're bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are really bad.
Well, someone had once mentioned to me that Forrest Gump was terrible, and I went back and watched it after they said that, and I couldn't believe what I had missed. What I thought it was a family movie, and it, according to today's cultural standards, it is, but it certainly was not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was reading something, and it was talking about if a woman wore today what she wears to the beach in the 50s, they'd be thrown in jail or thrown in an insane asylum, you know, because they don't dress appropriately. Well, all right. Anything else on that?
Mm-mm.
Doug wears a skirt, so he's quiet.
I had thoughts, but I forget what they are now.
All right. Who's up?
You or Bill?
Bill.
Yeah.
I guess I am, yeah. Keep your body under submission, it says. Fight the good fight of faith. Be disciplined and faithful. Manage your time wisely. Be a good steward of the hours God has given you. Bodily exercise profits a little. Stay strong and healthy. Take time to eat right, sleep properly, and work out at some form of exercise you enjoy. You don't have to be a great athlete, but try and stay strong and healthy so you can have the stamina and energy to serve the Lord fully. Pastor Chuck is one of the most robust men I've ever met. I can probably outrun him in the short race, but he has amazing stamina and can work circles around me over the long haul. Even though I'm 20 years younger, again, just reading here, 20 years younger than him, sometimes I get exhausted just following him around at the conference center. The Apostle Paul uses 3 figures in reference to the ministry. First, he tells us to be good soldiers. A good soldier prepares well before the battle, so that in battle his reactions are instinctive. He is faithful and diligent in preparation, and loyal and brave in battle. Secondly, Paul tells us to be like Olympic athletes. Focus solely on the goal of winning the race. Run to win. Be a man. Get in the game and give it 100%. The professional athlete eats, sleeps, and works out according to a schedule aimed at achieving his goal of winning the gold medal, taking home the Super Bowl ring, or winning the World Series. Not so sure they focus on the Super Bowl ring anymore.
No.
He doesn't eat. Huh?
No, they've destroyed that.
Yeah, I'm just so disappointed in those guys. I got something to say about that later. He doesn't eat for pleasure, he eats to win. Cut out of your life anything that might slow you down. Lay aside the sin and the weight which so easily besets you. And thirdly, Paul tells us to be a good husbandman, farmers for Jesus. When I pastored in farm country and later when I owned a sheep ranch, this guy gets around, owned a